So let's get started. Hi, I am Brandon Carey, and joining me today is Sam.
Hello, I'm here. What?
And Matthew, aka AShadowLink.
The time has come, and so have I.
I'll laugh last because you came to die.
The damage done, the pain subsides. I feel it clear when I look in your eye.
And we already did discuss Devil May Cry 5, not 4.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is going to be a comprehensive, long-form discussion of Devil May Cry 5. Spoilers free. You can speak about whatever part of the story you want freely. And any gameplay mechanic you want freely, even if it's something you unlock post-game.
Yeah, so for anyone who wasn't made clear by that, this is not a spoiler-free discussion, but we're free to discuss spoilers, so if you don't want spoilers, oof.
Yeah, you don't belong here. So let's start talking about the game. I guess we can start from an overall standpoint. What are your guys' opinions of Devil May Cry 5 as a whole?
Devil May Cry 5 is excellent. It's a very surprising game for me because I didn't think that we could get a new Devil May Cry game where they went all out again. They absolutely went all out.
Yeah. And I'll be playing the game in the background as we talk, so this is just kind of for a background conversation. But I was just kind of shocked that like you, this game came out and like the modern game design trends, like the monetization bullshit, which is still kind of there, and we'll probably talk about that a little bit later. But it didn't feel like the game was impacted by that. It was very much a game like about much Devil May Cry as you know it. Kind of works and all, but that's not something I was really against in any way.
I never engaged with the monetization, and I completely forgot about it after the first few missions.
The only DLC I purchased was the upgrade to the deluxe edition.
You like flirting with me? Knock it
That's all
off.
the DLC.
Get in the car.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, because you can technically buy blue orbs and red orbs and all of that, but
Oh, you can?
it's actually not worth it. I would say even money wise, not worth spending money on.
The deluxe edition comes with 100,000 red orbs, and that gives you a head start on upgrades, but it doesn't really make too much of a difference because even after already beating the game, I'm still swimming in red orbs.
Oh yeah,
Wait,
and it was actually extraordinarily easy to grind. I could grind enough for all the character moves in about 3 hours. It does not take that long.
I'm pretty sure it's 100k. I'll check.
Yeah,
to be sure.
Because
That doesn't sound like much considering the orb economy has really exploded in this game. Moves cost 50k at some point.
Also, Dr. Faust is incredible for just grinding orbs. Which we'll get to that.
Unless you
want to
drop the orb nuke, then you're just wasting.
Yeah. I mean, at this point though, I have orbs for days, so I could just use that move for no other reason but aside from I have something to spend orbs on. Because at this point, all I'm spending them on is gold orbs and double breakers.
Well.
Which, speaking
My
of...
cat is screaming at my door.
Just you wait, bastard. I'll drag you all the way down.
Speaking of, this is Nero, one of the playable characters.
Yeah, they all do.
First store that you rep the motorcycle bike. I adore it so much.
Yeah, and that one's not from 5 though. That does come from 4.
Yeah, the fact that they kept it is just amazing.
I love how they've upgraded the revolver in this game.
Yeah, it had a lot of uses. You can stagger people with it pretty easily. Just by a short charge shot.
The way they streamline the charge shot is really good. Zero no longer, you don't need to hold charge shots after you down the charge
Oh, see, I didn't know that, but Dante, I've not experimented too much.
Dante feels really good in this game. I have this thing, Devil May Cry 4 and 5, where Nero's supposed to be a character, he's supposed to be like to pick up.
Yeah, but Dante style.
Yeah, Dante is easier to play with. It looks like I actually know what I'm doing when I play as Dante.
Yeah. Although for me, like nine of that, I think I did that back. So looks like
one thing I want to say about watching those modern definitely try to get what's caught on. There's like a single section where you're forced to walk for like 10 seconds.
Yeah.
And because like V's really tired, and then he just gets over it and just runs.
Yeah. You're talking about mission 14, I think.
Yeah,
where he's depowered. Yeah.
Devil May Cry 5 doesn't care. It's gonna keep being Devil May Cry 5. It's just gonna keep like being Devil May Cry. It's wonderful to see this game come out in this day and age where games have to be like
live services usually.
Experiences. They have to give you a full-on story. And this game does give you a full-on story.
I like the writing in this game a lot.
I love the writing in Devil May Cry 5, but it actually has a game on top of that.
It's wild to talk about that because it feels like such a PS2 game, but like in the best way possible. Which
yeah.
I thought about Kingdom Hearts 3 in that way too. Like years ago to talk about Kingdom Hearts PSP, but like that game felt like a PS2 game and I thought that was the best way. It felt right.
This game feels like a game that people wanted to make as a game.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not like stuff like these games have a lot of it's clearly like are made stronger by the fact that they're very
blood all over
cinematic.
Yeah.
Another thing about that, Devil May Cry 5 shits in the faces of games like Uncharted and The Last of Us, where they're pushing out like next-gen graphics, but they have to cap the frame rate at 30, and the cutscenes are too intensive for them to render in real time, so they're all just like pre-rendered videos. Devil May Cry 5, everything's real time. It runs blistering close to 60.
Can we talk about how good the RE engine is for just a second? Because it's really fucking good.
It's incredible the kind of visuals that the RE engine put out in real time. Like, we're getting close to CG quality with some of the cutscenes in Devil May Cry 5.
Going down is the only way,
if they just had a better, like, anti-aliasing solution for them to fix out, like, some problems with the hair and stuff like that. Like, this game, the cutscenes could pass as, like, a CG movie from, like, a decade ago. And that's really cool because we're reaching, like...
I mean...
further heights of real-time graphics.
Talking about character design a little bit, like, I like the characters in this game look like real people.
Yeah. If you just saw, like, from a particularly it could pass as a genuine photo, like, not in motion, everything. But it's still got this looks like a cosplay, like a highly edited, not real photo, but still something with it's hard to explain. It's kind of, they call it hyper-real aesthetic. Yeah, it's hyper-detailed, hyper-realistic. Stunning.
Really good. I remember watching the Digital Foundry thing talking about it, where they discuss things like the anti-aliasing. It has a really good lighting system built into it, and probably most important, for a game like this, it runs very, very well.
Yeah.
There are some frame drops on consoles, but they're pretty rare.
Yeah.
For reference, this gameplay here is from a PS4.
It's staggering the kind of dedication that the developers had to both putting out stunning visuals and also just keeping the performance up. There's some shortcuts made to keep the frame rate like pretty high. There's no ambient occlusion in gameplay. It's only
This again.
stuff
Where's
like
it gonna take me now?
volumetric lighting, I believe, is completely disabled. But
That makes sense.
It looks so good in motion that same thing with like
there's
the
careful use of motion blur in between.
same thing with like the motion blur. There's no motion blur in the gameplay. Only in cutscenes.
And these
The
characters
motion-
move like butter. Like
yeah,
they're so smooth.
Everything is so smooth. But the thing with Devil May Cry 5 is it fakes motion blur, which I think is the best way to do it for a game with
Does it
particle
use, like,
effects and like
smears? Okay.
streaks. It doesn't smear the models at all, and there's no motion blur at all.
Well, haven't had enough yet.
It gives the illusion that there is like a lot of motion going on by just the dizzying amount of particle effects that are on display.
One thing, going back to Nero's, I want to talk about his devil breakers, because I find that to be an incredibly amazing and intricate system for gameplay. So, in the story, early on, Nero gets his right arm sliced off. Or I guess it's torn off, is more accurate.
There are no express elevators. Someone's a lousy architect.
Yes, and as a result, Mr. Tanagiko, who is probably one of my favorite characters in this game,
Nico's great.
is built him a robotic replacement for his arm. And the way it works mechanically is that you have a certain number of hands. As you see right now, I
Out of my way,
have
Win.
3 out of 8 of my maximum devil breakers. And that move in that whatever that bolt is replaces my system. So for this one, it gives me healing of time. Someone I use L1 to blow it up.
Every devil breaker has charge move too, and with quick surrender, you charge it up to get 1 or 2 bars. He's actually kind of useful as well, but just having the pattern, you'd rather have it.
Or which doesn't do a whole lot of damage, but gives you a lot more mobility. You can use shockwaves to propel yourself. I've used a lot of boss fights to dodge attacks that would otherwise get me caged.
Yeah. Specifically using the only movement options, I believe. Also, it has a special pad where when you're in the air and you press the breaker button, you launch down.
I think also wants to be the ground.
Yeah, that sounds about right. It's been a while since I played this Zero. I've been very busy. I just got back into playing Son of Sparta yesterday, and I played 2 missions as the.
I think that's the one I'm on. That's the hard mode, right?
That's the one right
Yeah,
above.
that's the last part I launched right after you beat Devil Hunter.
Yeah, okay, that's what I have then.
Which I have already beaten, but I need to redo 19 and 20 because I kind of badly lost those at the end. Used a ton of corridors to win those missions. But the other cool thing about Devil Breaker is that there's a very, very interesting system to it. Basically, you get the powerful attack and press circle, but if you're hit in the middle of it, the arm is fragile and it breaks.
Yeah.
So it's you have to remember to use them wisely.
Yeah, you have to keep your mind in. You can't just like mindlessly spam abilities.
Good.
Like punchline.
Finally made it. Now, about
And if
that
you use them
payback.
well, though, they can add a ton, not just damage, but also to your
Here?
clout.
Does it still work?
Yeah. I really like punchline.
Yeah.
Just the fact that you can ride around on a rocket, just like Dante did in the cutscenes of them. You can ride a rocket in gameplay now, and that is absolutely.
That literally only exists, by the way, because the director is like, you know, I'm kind of pissed off he couldn't get the rocket riding thing done in DMC3, so yes, we're going to do it here.
Nice.
Somewhat, like 15 years later.
Yeah, like, because they
They
have
also-
a thing where they want you to be able to do in gameplay anything you'd be able to, anything that the characters are shown able to do in the story.
Yeah, finally, we have that. We have characters that can do everything that they can do in cutscenes. We also have a motorcycle weapon now, which is something that's been a long time in the making. Finally, we have the technology for Dante to ride a motorcycle.
This is me just replacing some Devil Breakers for the next mission, for the next part of this mission.
There's one Devil Breaker that I don't really like. And that's the Mega Buster. The Mega Man.
It's
arm.
a fun joke, but not very practical.
It's a really funny, cool joke, but seeing, like, going through a level, like, you're out of Devil Breakers, and then coming across that, and then having to do that, it's very... I would rather have any other weapon. You're using one of my favorite.
Yeah, this is actually my favorite one in the game.
I really like Rawhide. Finally, we have a 3D Castlevania game that's not bad.
Yeah, guys, as you can see, Rawhide directly lets me use a whip, all of the really good crowd control, which can get you out of a lot of dice situations, and add fun to the founding. Alright, it's funny because I actually judge breakers a lot by how much they can actually more than their actual damage output.
I really like Tomboy too.
Yeah.
Tomboy is a very interesting. He takes that risk-free voice and takes it up to 11 because you never
I think it's
know.
good to be king, huh?
You want to get into
Not
another.
much
you want to
longer.
get like as many attacks as you can, but you just like break it by doing too much.
Speaking of, we just got a Tomboy.
It's one of my personal favorites, Tom.
Yeah.
Rawhide's also
douchebag.
good. The rocket
Miss
one's
me?
good. Even just the very first one, I don't remember the name
Where's
of it.
Dante?
It's pretty alright.
Overture.
Overture's pretty good.
It's funny because the name of that, that's Nico saying this is only the first of many arms. The Overture.
I'm not interested in you having a winning.
I guess the one breaker.
Well, I can
No, I love that. I really don't like Elvis.
I tried Overture. It was not.
Doesn't have to do it.
Yeah, it's a very.
It's very like just like breaking the car. Like it's really good for those scissors.
Probably Angelo's.
Yeah. But it's like any enemy that doesn't have that active car would
Damn.
That's a cool. Yeah, don't like that. Blow it up. Blow it up and then switch to another one.
That'd be pretty too. Like,
Yeah.
a lot of
What? Oh yeah. Blowing up your brain is really cool. That and stuff like
Get out of my sight!
oh yeah.
Yeah, this is chapter 59.
What? You have to be.
I'm trying to get X ranks currently while we're talking.
Mission 1. I love all the fact. I love the fact that we have a oh yeah, there's a hidden firearm. There were 2 in DMC3. Red wall. Now we have 1. It's really cool. Combine it with
Very precise sniper beam. Piercing beam that pierces right through armor as well.
It's really cool. I really like
I actually
the
used
fact
that to S-rank on human difficulty, the fight against Nightmare in Mission 18.
The fact that there's a secret ending
petulant mortal flesh.
by beating the unbeatable boss in the first mission of the game is incredible.
Yeah.
That
To clarify, at the beginning of Mission 1, you do the very video game thing of you do the final boss fight in the first chapter of the game, just to show you how big of the bad guy is. And normally, you're not supposed to win that fight. You're supposed to get bodied free-handed. But you can win that fight.
Yeah. You can win the fight even without any of the even without like coming back to it later. You can just win it on your first try if you're good enough.
Which I wasn't. But you can.
What I really like about that is it gives you the joke ending and everything. But then because you've proven that you're good enough to beat Urizen in the first mission, it just unlocks the next difficulty level for you right there.
Yes. And the best part is that it also gives you the joke, and everyone lived happily ever after. This was the best possible way this could have gone down. Actually.
And then V's there, and he's just like, wait. No, wouldn't he be rotting? What the fuck?
Yeah. This is a very clearly joke ending, but
yeah, it's a very cute, like funny joke ending that's not supposed to really.
And the heroes lived, and nothing bad happened ever again.
Nothing bad happened ever again. And Dante finally revealed to Nero that he's his uncle.
Yeah.
That he killed his dad. Oh.
We're going on to a V mission, which I'm just going to probably keep going, because talking about V is, like, I know, Sam, you in particular also have a very big fascination with V.
I don't know what you're talking about. My Discord picture is totally not V. My Twitter name isn't related to V. Nothing at all.
I also, I also really enjoy, before we get off Nero, I enjoy that at the end of the game he gets, like, his true Devil Trigger in his arm back, and that adds so much to his playthrough. Like
It adds so much to his playstyle, but also I want to talk a little bit about that thematically.
Yeah.
With the story. So Dante awakens his devil trigger to continue fighting, but Nero awakens his devil trigger to stop the fighting, and that is like perfect. That's like a perfect contrast between the two characters.
It's also kind of like how Virgil desires power for its own sake, whereas Nero is kind of like him, where he desires power, but he only desires power because without it he can't really do much, and he knows
Virgil and Nero are very similar in their motivations. They both strive for power to protect the ones they love. But Virgil already lost the ones that they love. Virgil already lost his mom, and his dad, and his.
What the hell?
And he was striving for more power to make sure nothing like that.
Did you find it?
Oh, well,
on his quest
I don't know what I
he
found,
lost
but
sight of
I
what
think I
actually
saw some
mattered.
demons dancing.
And
Well,
just
then I guess we keep going.
kept striving for
The
more
Devil's
power.
Sword Sparta is nearby.
But Nero, he wants more power to protect the things that are still with him, that are real.
Like the girlfriend he literally still has back at home.
Yeah.
It's coming from the Clive
Which kind of
Fox
brings us to
route.
V, because since this is a spoiler cast, I'm just going to say it. V is essentially Virgil's
So,
because you're
Quite literally.
so.
Like literally stabbed himself with a sword and V just walked out like a summer child. Only for him.
And so he is essentially the discarded refuse of humanity that Virgil left behind in his quest for power.
Yeah. And the interesting thing about V is that you can't really tell what his motivations are. He's just like actually legitimately because it does seem
I think it's a bit of both. I think he is
I
genuinely
agree.
regretful.
Yeah.
It's just that
He's genuinely regretful.
he's also half of Virgil, and
he wants the other half of him back still, because he still needs more power.
yeah.
But also, I think he just wants to return to himself so that he can just stop himself from doing these horrible quests.
That's what one way to spin it, because when I first played it, I thought it was like, oh, he was just playing everybody all along.
I mean, he's actually looked at a lot of the living dialogue. He is by himself. There's no reason to lie to himself. Like,
Never mind himself now.
genuinely, like, he has nothing to do with Earth and stop him. He's considered doing, like, there is a thing to have. It's time to end it.
Enjoy the taste of this.
To realize everything but also still can't give up in his want to prove that he's the founder of the two sons of Sparta.
I mean, he's still half a Virgil, for better
Yeah.
and for worse.
Yeah, he's still Virgil.
Which actually, like, we goes into how he plays, because he is, he's very different than basically any other D&D character that's ever
Yeah.
been in a game.
The thing with V is that they kind of started off on the wrong foot, because when I started playing, I was under the impression that he was a super powerful god without any enemies with him.
Right.
But he is very
And apparently the worst issue is that demons can't feel uneasy about being part of themselves, but they
Yeah. That's why you can't feel
Pardon me.
with these except for Nightmare when he is writing, because he's basically become one with Nightmare.
yeah, it's called promotion, kind of like a pawn going to the end of the board and becoming a queen.
Yeah, these moves are very chess related.
Let me turn the PS4 capture down a little bit.
That's because V is playing quarter chess.
Like, essentially, V is one commander on the battlefield. Oh, wait,
Yeah, he's the king.
he's going around and directing his pawns to attack enemies while he silently waits in the background for the last few seconds. And, you see his double triggers is his big nightmare on Evil chef metaphor. But, he also gets double triggered by reciting, William Blake poetry in the middle of combat. Which I can't adore enough. Like,
It's so cute. It's so edgy.
it's so hashtag edgy too.
Yeah.
Like, look, he's literally just sitting there, he's got the book out, he flipped it open and he started reading out of it.
Yeah, it's like the kind of edgy that's just like adorable and like really fun to watch.
Which, like, also is, like, retroactive character building for Virgil. Because, like, Virgil was secretly a William Blake poetry fan for all this time and no one knew it. Like, that's actually, like there's actually a log in Nico's notebook of Virgil getting a poetry book from an old man and, like, saying, man, I'm gonna put my name on this because Donnie's gonna fucking steal it. I love this poetry book so much.
Brandon, apparently your game audio is way too loud, or were we too?
Oh yeah, turn that down.
Probably the form.
Yeah, I'm gonna turn the audio down for the game. But I love I love that, like, that retroactive. Oh yeah, by the way, Virgil, huge poetry fan. Just you didn't know it.
That explains his way with words.
Yeah. But V is a very fascinating character. And I was afraid that they were going, like, who is this random dude? But they integrate him into the story, like, in a really, really good way.
I think it was pretty obvious to most people.
Yeah, I mean, his name is V. But you hope that it's not that on the nose, but then it turned out to actually, like, straight up be on the nose. Like, okay, whatever. I'm okay with this, actually, in retrospect.
It's very obvious, but it's executed really well, and it's handled respectfully and also with enough self-awareness so that, like, the game straight up plays with the fact that pretty much everyone playing already knows what's going down.
Yeah, I love that literally everyone knows who Nero's father is, except for Nero and his actual father. Like, Nero and Virgil are the last people in the world to find out that Virgil is Nero's dad.
Yeah. My favorite part was the flashback before this very mission when he comes to visit Dante in his office.
Yeah.
And he's just like, a powerful demon has resurrected. Just help Dante. Yeah? Okay, what's his name? And it just doesn't play the audio, it just shows V mouthing Virgil, and it's just like, yeah.
I mean, the fact that Yuri's name is Virgil is, like, of course. There's no other person on the world who would be even a mild threat to Dante aside from his twin brother.
Yeah.
Like, Dante is
really
the kind of guy who looked at Mundus from Deep One like, you know, this is kind of funny. I kind of like you. You're amusing.
Yeah, Dante has been going through the motions for a lot of his adventures.
Yeah.
But the times when he actually goes all out are DMC3 and then in this game. Because the only person who can actually oppose him is his other self, his twin.
I think I love the part I like most about Dante's character is that he is the laziest person in the world. He is he can't even form enough of a work ethic to pay the utilities for the agency he owns.
Yeah, he is a fucking hobo.
He will whereas Virgil is all about
He's
power.
my crazy grandpa.
Dante is so quick to discard power, he literally sells his devil arms at the end of most of his games.
Yeah, Dante, he's just making ends meet, like, and he's barely doing that.
Yeah, and and if he wanted to, he could make a fortune, but he just doesn't
Yeah.
Yeah. care. He generally doesn't give a shit.
He only takes jobs that interest him, which is like a stark contrast to. I read 800 pages of Devil May Cry lore in preparation for this game, and I read the first novel. I read the first Devil May Cry novel, which is
I'm so sorry.
canon, quote unquote canon, and is actually mentioned several times in this game. And in that game, in that novel, Dante has discarded his original name. He's going by Tony Redgrave. Tony Redgrave, which Redgrave is the the name of the city where he grew up. It's very interesting, very subtle, very on the nose. But he's just taking every job he possibly can. Like, he still picks and chooses, but he takes any job. And at the end of the novel, he decides he's gonna do things for himself, and then he decides that he's just not gonna give a shit. he's just gonna do only the jobs that interest him.
That's perfect. Like, and it sums up just how opposed the two brothers are. Like from the very beginning, because Virgil has the greatest work ethic in the world, and he'll do anything takes or even a bit more power, whereas Dante just does not care. And yet, because Dante can only bring himself to care when it truly matters, like, that's why he can never, like, Virgil can never beat him.
Yeah. It's even like that in the novel. Virgil is the interaction with Virgil in the novel is presumably non-canon because it conflicts with everything in the DMC canon. But the novel itself, aside from Virgil's appearance, is canon. Instead, the events played out the same, except instead of Virgil coming and fucking things up, it was Mundus sending his minions to fuck things up for Dante. But in the novel, Virgil is this, like, aloof, very like, business kind of guy, and he gets stuff done. Like, he takes every job he possibly can. He gets stuff done, but he doesn't care for the reward. He just wants to kill, and it's kind of fucked up. It's this weird, like, contrast between the brothers again, because Virgil, when he's taking the jobs, he gives up the money. He buys drinks for everyone. He gives the money away in any possible way he can. But Dante, he stockpiles his money, and he buys like weapons and also replacement $8,000 coats every time he ruins his on a job.
Which is every time.
Yeah, every time. It literally actually is every time. But with Virgil, he's just spending his money to earn favors with other people and get on their good side before he murders them. With Dante, when he decides to give up his money to open, like, savings accounts for the two daughters of his friend who died, it shows, like, how different the two brothers are. Virgil's acting entirely in his self-interest, but Dante is acting, like, completely selfless. He's doing
You can
it for
only
others.
motivate Dante to do things for other people. He will not do a single thing for himself. He's too lazy.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly right.
And that perfectly kind of falls in, like, going back to V, like, that's kind of in line with his playstyle, since he is part of Virgil. Like, he is the director of the combat. He's watching every moment and is waiting for to throw his pawns in the right position so he can deliver the final blow.
Yeah, he's making use of his pawns in his own self-interest without, like, worry for their safety because they can't die.
Yeah.
They just go stalemate.
Because demons can't kill demons.
Yeah, demons can't kill demons.
Only a human can kill a demon, and so demon versus demon warfare doesn't really matter. They can get killed as much as they want, and they'll just keep coming back.
Yeah.
And I think my favorite moment of V is like the when he's introduced in his first mission, and this Raven Griffin goes, "No, we don't have to fight these guys. We can just keep going." And V just opens his poetry book and goes, "Those who want and act not breed pestilence," and says, "Well, the poetry book says that we're fighting."
That's where I take all of my life advice from. Old William Blake poetry.
Yeah. Sam's
And like he
gonna
has this
buy
smug look in his
actual
face as
book
if
of
like,
William
yeah, I'm
Blake,
just pointing that because I know that means we get to fight. Because
Sam's
like
gonna
he's still
buy a
Virgil, he
book.
still wants to fight badly. He just knows he can't do it directly.
Yeah. Sam's gonna buy a book of William Blake poetry, and he's gonna sleep with it and have it in his bed at all times when he goes to sleep at night, so he can be more like his idol.
The call out post.
Call out podcast.
Yeah.
That's tactic.
Look, man, V's just really cool. I mean, you already mentioned it, but he's a fantastic mix of thematics and gameplay together, much how Nero and Dante are. Like, the Devil May Cry team has always been really
Yeah.
And like honestly, I've heard many people call this like the way you would put Pokemon into an action RPG, and I can see that because like this style of gameplay plays. Oh, what is this move all of a sudden? Okay. I just saw a kill that I haven't seen before with these nobodies, where he took the eye and then threw it in the nobody's face.
Yep, that's something I saw the other night.
But yeah, like this style of combat, it's unique, but also is still distinctly Devil May Cry. Like you still like you can look at this and this is definitely Devil May Cry game still, even though it's wholly different from any other character's playstyle in any one of these games ever.
Mm-hmm.
And I find that really impressive.
It plays like Devil May Cry. It's just different enough that it feels like a new character instead of like DMC4 Nero. He's a lot of fun, but he feels kind of like a discount Dante. Not the case in Devil May Cry 5. But
I can see it on
DMC4
4.
DMC4 Nero.
Yeah, because his thing was the
very
Breaker, and the Breaker was kind of overpowered in that game.
Yeah.
It was also like the only thing he had that. He had that and the rev mechanic, whereas Dante had like what 4 guns and 4 swords, something like that.
Yeah, like in all those different combat styles. We're gonna get to in a second.
Yeah.
Because Dante is the king of versatility. Like there is no situation that Dante's unprepared for in this game.
I love how much easier they made Royal Guard. I can finally use Royal Guard.
I was too chicken shit to try Royal Guard when I played.
Yeah, I never bothered. I
Royal
mostly
Guard
played
is
Trickster.
really easy to get off with Cavalier Angelo. His attacks are so telegraphed that you can time it perfectly. And actually, I beat that boss almost entirely with Royal Guard. And that's the thing. I notice a lot of people still hesitant to use Royal Guard, and also get really angry when people tell them to use Royal Guard to make their lives easier. And they've made Royal Guard easier, and they finally put like all of the styles on a similar amount of usability threshold. Aside from everything being objectively worse than Royal Guard.
I even found myself switching to Gunslinger a couple times to get some gun combos in for style points. Yeah.
Yeah, Gunslinger feels like it actually has a use now, especially with the new charge.
Because I know in DMC4 you basically only ever use Trickster and Swordmaster.
In DMC4 you only use like Trickster, Swordmaster, and Royal Guard
If you're good.
man enough.
Yeah.
But DMC4 Gunslinger was basically almost entirely just for using Pandora.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
And in this game, I feel like I'm using all of the guns pretty equally because they don't have that one gun that's way better than every other weapon in the game, like Pandora.
Even like Dr. Faust is the most fun gun, but it's not the best.
Yeah, it's not.
Also, this is a really good scene for
Oh,
V's
I love
character, where like
I love this scene.
he is struggling between a desire to, because he knows Dante is probably the best person to save the day, but he also really hates Dante.
Mm-hmm.
I really love how all the missions end with just like the freeze frame glass shattering. Like it's so like old TV show like cliffhanger ending that every time I like would go and take a break or be done for the night, I'd always be like, man, I cannot wait to see what the next moment of
I
that
know
cutscene's
exactly.
Yeah. They did it. They did it perfect. They didn't change the endings, and that's really good.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But yeah, Royal Guard is like objectively the best style because there's literally an achievement in this game for unequipping every single weapon and just beating a mission with Royal Guard.
Jesus.
There-
That's of
Yeah.
course the kind of
You can
achievement
either
this
do
game
Royal
would have.
Guard, and the other way I saw online is to use Super Dante. When you beat Dante Must Die.
Oh, that's lame.
That
You
is
gotta-
lame. But
gotta
like
do
the
it.
actual, like now that I know that you can use, now that I know that, I'm actually probably gonna try to do that on Royal Guard, just A, so I can figure out how to use Royal Guard. And actually, that's the next
Yeah.
mission after this. So I'm like, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, Lord.
the one thing I really like is that the game is programmed after you beat the game that you can unequip all your weapons.
Yeah.
And Dante, when all of his weapons are unequipped, when you target enemies, he just fucking points at them. He just points with his finger. It's like, get over here. I'm gonna Royal Guard you. You
That's
motherfucker."
great. It's great. I love it.
So smug Dante going like, I'll beat you. I don't even have a single sword and I'll still beat
Well, that cause that's who Dante is. Like he looks at a demon and laughs because he knows they can probably kick his ass.
Yeah.
Like, even when it's his best friend trapped inside, or one of his best friends trapped inside the demon's, like, yeah, whatever. I'm gonna kick your ass.
All right.
I thought it
Okay.
was the only way to wait.
We've got to talk.
What day is it?
We've got to
Yeah.
talk.
The 15th.
Yeah.
Why do you have that costume on?
Yeah.
A month?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh
I want some variety.
Sure. It's weird to see Dante without white hair.
Yeah, we're probably
There's
gonna
a
switch it
mod.
back.
There was
I
literally
do
a-
prefer V's EX outfit over his regular outfit, though, personally.
Oh, it's cool. I like these. There's literally the first fucking mod I saw for this game was just the EX Dante outfit, but with white hair.
Yeah.
If this outfit had white hair, this would be like 100%. I would pick this over every time. Because I think white hair Dante is the best Dante.
It's a nice color scheme. The problem is the thing it's referring to.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even necessarily mind DMC Devil May Cry. I think it's a fine game. It's just it did so much wrong.
It's a good
DMC
game that's not a good Devil May Cry game.
Yeah.
DMC Devil May Cry is a game that was made that didn't need to be made and was unfortunately the reason we almost had
I
there's
literally
mixed-
just watched Matt McMuscles' hop on DMC. So yeah.
there's
I watched
there's
Foxcade's
mixed
video.
there's mixed
the rest to
things
you.
about the relationship with Hideaki Itsuno and Ninja Theory.
Yeah.
Like he says in public that he really likes DMC Devil May Cry, and that's the professional thing to do. But then we have reports like coming out recently from like the voice actor of Dante saying Hideaki Itsuno literally almost left Capcom, and the reason that he stayed is because they gave up. They were like, hey, Hideaki, you're pretty valuable like employee.
We will literally let you do
valuable guy.
anything as long as you
We-
stay here.
We
Anything
will-
you
We'll
want.
let you do anything if you stay here. And then he was just like, I want to make a new Devil May Cry game. And they gave him everything he needed to make a new Devil May Cry game. They could finally go all out again. And
On
damn.
one hand, I almost feel like that's a bit much, but at the same time, considering the context and the actual history of people making Devil May Cry games and then being thrown off for another
Mhm.
Devil May Cry game, that has already happened multiple times in the history of this series of like creator makes the game and then they're like, oh, they made a sequel without me. Why? What did I
Yeah.
do wrong?
in this-
Hideaki Itsuno was heavily involved in the reboot, and there are conflicting reports that he he saved the game, just like he did with Devil May Cry 2.
Oh, FYI, I don't have Cavalier equipped, and I don't have the shotgun equipped. I find the shotgun to be kind of a boring weapon to use. And I could not get the handle on Cavalier, really, to save my life.
But yeah. I'm one to believe that Hideaki Itsuno actually like saved the reboot, and like the people from Capcom who stepped in actually actively saved the reboot, because Ninja Theory's other games are really rough, and DMC Devil May Cry is not rough in the same way.
Not in the way that like something like Heavenly Sword was when it came.
Yeah.
And you can also tell with the definitive edition of DMC Devil May Cry that they had more feedback, and I assume more stuff learned from the Japanese Capcom of like, okay, you know, I don't mean to go too much into DMC Devil May Cry, but they made a lot of good improvements that made it feel more like the other games in the series. Because like, you know, it ain't broke. Like, they've never rewritten all of DMC and done better with it. The ones that are good are the ones where they took the first game and just keep adding systems to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. The really funny thing about that is the game did like, I think it did pretty poorly on PC. DMC Devil May Cry. It did like pretty bad on PC. So when it came time for the definitive edition, the main selling point of it was 60 FPS, which was already possible in the original PC version. So they're just like, fuck it, we're not releasing it on PC.
So
yeah, I remember I had to get the definitive edition on PS4, and I was like, but it has all the parts that make it good, and I can't play it on the PC.
They've removed Virgil's fedora. It's a 0 out of 10. That's the funniest part of the reboot. That's the funniest part of the reboot.
So, Flail asked the chat if I ever accidentally broke my Devil Breakers by hitting L1 when I meant to use Double Trigger, and the answer is all the fucking time.
Yeah, I've accidentally
for the first run through the game all the time.
Yeah.
I accidentally broke my breaker like twice because my finger slipped.
Yeah.
Yeah. And especially it's worse. Honestly, because everyone else's Devil Trigger is L1, and then when you get near a Devil Trigger, you like instinctually hit L1 because that's what you expect it to be, and then it becomes, and then like, oh shit, I broke another Devil Breaker. Whoops.
The cool thing about DMC, and this has been the case I think since the third game, is that all the controls are rebindable, like completely rebindable.
Oh, I might switch that off just so I can have that universality, because I would totally have the destroy Devil Breakers be on the D-pad instead of Double Trigger.
Yeah. So the thing that I really like about Devil May Cry 5 is that this is the first game in the entire series where your custom controls are actually reflected by the skill list screen. So you can see exactly what button you have to press instead of having to decipher
that's a miracle.
to figure out which button is which.
Yeah, that is a miracle, because I will say that would be a problem for me otherwise.
Yeah. Just in general, they've made a lot of really smart improvements and adjustments to Devil May Cry 5 that I think will make the game stand the test of time. And if they keep like updating it after the Bloody Palace update, like I'm sure a lot of people out there would be willing to pay for like Lady or Trish.
Yeah, if they did like a modern DLC style of like, hey, here's new playable characters, they work in all the current content or something like that, I would totally pay, $5-10, like bundle, whatever.
Yeah, I think people would
if not more.
That. I mean, they already showed how Lady could work over top of Nero's missions.
Oh
and,
lord.
Trish would be over top, would like work on top.
I feel like they could make a version of Nico that would work well with V's missions, because I could see like a version of her that's just like using a bunch of tech, where V uses demons.
I think Nico would be the hardest character to make a moveset for him, but if they can do it, I'm all for it. Because Nico's real cool.
Yeah, I could see like a version of her that's like Inventor Chick, makes a bunch of technology that she uses to fight from a distance.
Yeah, I think we're going to have Virgil though for those.
Probably.
So here's a fun fact.
If they're playable in the campaign at all.
in the PC
Yeah,
version,
they might also be Bloody Pilots exclusive or do like DMC style where they had a unique mini campaign type.
So here's a fun fact: is in the PC version of the game, the
Oh, yeah.
playable character assigned to each mission is literally just a number from 1 to 4.
Yeah.
And if you put 4 in for any mission in the PC version, that lets you play that mission as Virgil.
Yes. He's not complete, and there's some obvious like problems with
So I
his
have a
animation.
theory because people
But-
keep saying that using that
yeah.
as evidence for him being a DLC character, but I have a theory about that.
I think he's going to be added with the Bloody Palace update.
So here's my theory is that at the end of the game when you're playing that mission as Dante, or the credits screen as Dante, where it's him and Virgil competing over who can kill more demons.
Oh.
I suspect that the way they coded that is they used the co-op system that's already in the game and just had the DMC cast play as Virgil.
That makes a lot of sense.
That
but
is my
also,
suspicion. I'm not a design character, so I cannot confirm that, but that's what I suspect is why Virgil was a playable character.
But still, already on top of that, they did a similar thing in DMC3, where you could play as Virgil for one mission if you had a second controller.
Yeah.
So
Was
like
that pre-special
having-
edition? Because couldn't you play as
Yes,
him in special
yeah,
edition the whole game?
Yeah.
Yeah, in special edition he had his quote-unquote whole campaign, which was
Yeah.
just Dante's campaign, of course. But,
Of course.
DMC
And
tradition
just like in
at this point.
DMC4 as well, later on.
Yeah, that's kind of tradition.
In the boss fight against Arkham, when Virgil comes in, if you have a second controller plugged in, you can play as him in all versions of the game. And he had like a pretty basic moveset coded in. You couldn't use the style button, I don't think Virgil had access to any like gun button things.
Yeah.
But he was very like he was a very basic character, and they could just like expand on that and make him like his own slot for an update, just like they did with DMC3. And they kind of already have the framework set out to make playable characters of Virgil, Trish, and Lady possible.
Yeah.
with
And you could
their
totally
movesets.
I could totally see like since he's already like kind of half finished, like they could just polish that version off and then just make that a character.
I think they could just like drop him in whenever. Which it's totally possible because it seems Capcom themselves don't really care about spoiling the fact that Virgil's in the game.
I mean, there were shots of him in the trailers.
In the final trailer, they showed Virgil's back, but going fucking full ham on the Devil May Cry 5 soundtrack. Each disc has a different character's face on the cover for each disc, and disc 4 is literally just Virgil. They don't care about spoiling it anymore.
I have to wonder if it's one of those things where, like, for one, the fun spoiler isn't necessarily Virgil, it's the nature of V. And for two, it's also, like, it's DMC. Virgil's gonna be in here. He's, like, Dante is, like, the character, Virgil's, like, the second character.
Yeah,
he's the dude.
He's too popular of a character.
Just that. It's not just that, because they did leave him out of 4, but,
and then put him back in 4 later on.
There were hints of him in 4 because, you know, he's dead, but... But in DMC5, pretty much from the first trailer, everyone realized the guy who ripped off Nero's arm is Virgil. so we've known he's in the game for almost a year.
Yeah, because even, like,
I
watched that and I was like, it's just the Yamato. Like, of course it's him. You can see the sword.
Even the twist about Virgil being Urizen was spoiled because they had his fucking voice in the trailer, and people decided, what happens if we pitch this up, and it's just fucking Virgil's voice actor?
One thing you would know, Matt, is it the same voice actor as one from 3?
Yes, it
do
is.
You know the difference, Sam, between him in 3 and him in this game?
No.
Actually, in Devil May Cry 3, the voice actor had a cold.
He had a cold. If you ever
Which is why
wanted,
his
like,
voice is all
Virgil-
like kind of snot-nosed and nasally.
Nasally,
Because he was
yeah.
actually snot-nosed at the time because he had a cold.
I was kind of wondering because
There's,
when I first saw this game, people were like, "Oh yeah, the big bad doesn't like sound all that, you know, crazy." And then I heard Virgil's voice, and I'm like, "Why did they pick a voice like that?" And then I went back, looked at DMC3, and I was like, "Oh, that's his original voice actor." So
Yeah.
now hearing that on top of that makes it doubly hilarious. That he's
Yeah,
like, "I have to pretend like I'm sick."
Yeah. Even though like most of the actors have gotten swapped out, the actors for Dante and Virgil have stayed consistent since
It's
3.
also because they're... I feel bad for saying that Lady and Trish aren't iconic, but like Dante and Virgil are iconic. Like...
Well,
Yeah.
especially in the voice department, like I couldn't
Dante
really
and
tell you
Virgil's
Trish or
voices.
Lady's voice that well, but like Dante, you know Dante when you hear him.
Yeah, he's Ruben Langdon. He's...
Yeah, it's
Although
specifically
I will say
him.
that it was different for 1 and 2. They had a different actor, and then Ruben Langdon became the same guy for 3 onward.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I didn't even play 2. Like, I don't think
No
that
one
game-
really wants to talk
You're
about
not
2
missing
ever,
anything.
so don't
You
worry
were
about
not
it.
missing anything.
Yeah. As far as I'm concerned, 2 exists, but like in the most bare minimum sense.
Yeah, 2 exists, but they'll never acknowledge it in an actual game. They acknowledge it
Even
a
in
prequel
this
novel.
history, like in this, like the history DMC thing, they were like, there was
Yeah, they
was another
yeah.
crisis and Dante saved the day, and that's all they're going to talk about with DMC3.
Yeah,
Nothing
they-
about
they-
the girl, the red-haired girl, or
Uh-huh.
like the coin stuff, or driving
Yeah.
to hell at the end.
I'm gonna go all the way to hell, yeah.
It's like, God, that game.
But yeah, they just show like a second of DMC2 and then a second of the anime to establish the character of Patty Lowell because she makes a little cameo in this game.
Along
That's
with the sundae that Dante eats in the anime.
That's actually from the first novel.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah, his love for strawberry sundaes started there.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I love how dumb this series is.
I love all the continuity nods this game does, like for the series as a whole.
And
I
it
love
seems to
how-
value some stuff more than others in a good way. Like I don't need a lot of the anime plot being important to this game.
Yeah,
More
but
than
I'm
not,
okay with
it's
them
like they
doing
picked
a
the right
little
game.
wink and nudge at the anime every now and then, just like, okay,
Oh, yeah.
for those of you who saw the anime, here's a little reference for it.
Yeah, and
For
I think it's the way
you.
it should be done because I don't think the anime or the novels would be
Yeah.
good material to pull from versus like pull from 3 a lot, pull a lot
Or
from 3,
how
a lot
Dante
from
gets
4,
nostalgic
and a
for
good
going
bit from
through
1.
old musty cellars and going to Malay Island.
The thing I really like is
Hey, guys.
DMC has had the same writer since DMC3. It's been the same guy for DMC3, 4, and 5. But he's pulling all this stuff from the extended media that he had nothing to do with. And
That's
and
really fun.
That's really cool. Like, this guy had to do some research to make a story in the series that he basically like writes for now.
Yeah, he had to research not only the extended universe stuff, but also all these random William Blake references. Like even even Urizen, that name
Urizen is a reference
from
to William
Blake's
Blake's
mythology.
poems.
Uh-huh,
Yeah. Which was
Yep.
so funny because when the game first came out and a buddy of mine got it for me, he was like, "Oh yeah, I'm a huge fan of William Blake," and I'm like, "What does that have to do with anything?" And he's like, "Oh, that's what V reads." I was like, "Oh," and he's like, "Yeah, also Urizen," and he like started sending me all these pamphlets and stuff and all that, and I'm like, "Oh my god, there's so many weird, subtle references to William Blake's mythology in this game."
Yeah.
I'll be right back.
It's really fascinating to me. It seems like such a random person to pull from. Like especially from Japanese culture, I cannot imagine he's terribly popular as a poet. He's barely popular in America. He's just kind of a semi-known
I mean,
poet.
it's kind of like how how the Japanese love Arsène Lupin.
Yeah. Seems like so funny because I feel like an obvious choice would be like, oh, pick freaking Edgar Allan Poe. Like, you know, if freaking V was quoting The Raven or something, I would be like, oh, of course. So it was really funny to see, and really cool to see
I
like
kind of
something
like that
different.
it's obscure enough that you could mistake it for his own original poetry if you weren't aware.
Yeah. And also, like, not to diss on Poe or anything, I like his work and all that, but like Blake seems way more fitting for this kind of thing because Blake just has all these like weird ancient creatures and talks of demons and dark. It is very much accurate to be in this sort of universe. And it contrasts well with Dante's like complete insanity and Miro's hot-headed aggression. Like, they make a really good trifecta together.
I am Brandon, once more for people who are just joining in, and the other guys are Sam
This is me, Sam,
and Matt.
who's not here at the moment. He'll be the third voice. Yeah, I almost wonder if he should have set up a, whatchamacallit, like a little window in the corner that has the Discord that
Probably
I've done
should
that before
have,
for music.
but, you know, too late
Yeah,
to worry
you
about
like
that
Sonic the
now.
Hedgehog, you live and learn.
And
I'm back.
Good time.
Let's
That's Matt, by
talk
the way.
about the Yamato and the Rebellion, because this, like, in this game,
Yeah,
like,
it's kind of important.
because in Devil May Cry 3, they were just kind of swords. Like, they were swords
Yeah.
that Sparta used, but we really didn't go into detail about why they were important. In this game, they kind of go into a little more detail about what they are and how important and how they pertain to Dante and Virgil's heritage.
Well, real quick,
Okay,
if I can give a quick shout out to Foxcade's retrospective on this series, he did mention all the way back in like DMC3 that what was cool about the swords was that Dante swings this giant great sword that's like a double-edged instrument, and it very much reflects his brash, forward-facing personality, whereas Virgil uses a katana, which is something that is like very surgical, very precise, requires a lot of dexterity to wield.
So the thing with Yamato and Rebellion separating human from demon is something that was introduced by the anime.
Oh, really?
Fantastic. I watched the anime and I don't remember this.
In the episode where there's a demon that's possessed a rock singer, and then Dante uses the Rebellion to stab through her, but he doesn't kill her, he only separates the demon, which is then killed afterwards.
Yeah.
And that's a thing that's been in the series for a while, and it's really weird to see them actually use it in the game.
Yeah, because
I mean,
in this one,
it's
the
a
Rebellion is
cool-
the opposite,
it's a
where
cool
it kind
thematic
of
mechanic.
merges Demon Dante with Human Dante in a new way that's never been seen before.
Yeah, it separates Virgil and then merges him. It seems like it has the capacity to do both.
Yeah. It depends on... I think it depends on what the wielder wants.
Sure.
Because Virgil, he wanted his human half separated. But Dante, he just wanted to be strong enough to stop Virgil.
Yeah. Where
And both
actually,
of
I remember there was
them got
they
what
talk
they
about I was stabbed through with this once by my brother, and that gave me badass double trigger powers. What happens if I
Yeah.
do it again?
Whew.
Introducing Devil May Cry 6. Do it again. And just keep
Which, by the
going
way,
levels of Super
Dante has a
Saiyan.
tradition of being stabbed in almost every one of these games.
He gets stabbed multiple times per game.
I'm so fucking ecstatic that Dante getting impaled on his own sword is now a mechanic in the game.
Because it's been such a meme. Like,
Yeah.
it's reached like peak meme where Nero just stabs him at the beginning of the game.
He just goes, "You're not human, are you?" And it just like
And it's just a
cuts to
cut
shot.
of
It
Dante
just
with
cuts to-
his sword
Yeah.
through his chest.
Yeah. I like that they know that it's just a fucking joke at this point. It's great. Like, it's such a great visual, too. It's
such
a wonderful
fun
little
gag.
nod.
But yeah, there's this really cool thing where when they visit the old family house,
Yeah.
Virgil looks away from the portrait of his family,
Whereas
but
Dante
looks
stares
towards
directly
it.
at it.
Yes, and that's Dante accepting his heritage and Virgil running away from it.
Yeah.
Because Virgil's never liked the human side, the weakness.
Yes.
Whereas
he views the
Dante is
human
very
side as
much
weak.
embraces his human side a little more than his demon side. He only uses demon side when he has to.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he might as well just be Tony Redgrave.
Yeah,
Tony Redgrave.
Tony Redgrave.
Yeah, that for people who do just join, that was something we had discussed earlier. You'll be able to hear it on the VOD if you're interested. The idea that Virgil is all about the endless pursuit of power for
Yes.
power's sake,
Whereas
Dante
Dante
only
is-
pursues power and only enough to defeat the enemy, and then is willing to completely lose it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he
Doesn't keep power. He doesn't
Yeah.
need it.
Yeah,
He doesn't
Dante
need it.
is
He
the
just-
laziest person in the
yeah.
world except when it matters.
Yeah, he only does it to help other people. What a good guy.
Well, it's just an interesting thematic too, that like he could have all that power, but like you could probably make an argument that like maybe he'd become more like his brother if he started hoarding it like that,
Yeah.
even if he didn't
Yeah.
mean.
That's the thing that this game
Yeah,
taps
like
on
even
too.
Virgil is like, if it had been different, if you had been the one that had been left behind instead of me, what would have happened? How would that have actually changed our
Yeah.
lives?
Yes.
So we could have had the reverse.
We could have had Virgil doing the.
We could have
Michael
had Dante
Jackson
being
dance
the
Oh my god!
in the middle of hell.
Could have had Virgil snarking at demons and
with a cold the whole time. It'd be great.
man, I want to get like a Devil May
I
Cry.
mean, they
Doji or
start
something.
leaning.
It's
They
just one
started
of
heading
Virgil
towards that
and
at the end of the
Dante.
game. At the end, when Nero's like, "Okay, you two are this fighting is done. I'm sick of the both of you with this child spat. Your petty feud has caused the whole world to fuck up, and I hope you're happy about it."
One thing I want to touch on with like behind the scenes stuff is that we almost got Virgil as Dante, and that's I mean that like not literally, but so after DMC3 they were gonna make DMC4 because DMC3 was a big success. So they were auditioning for the role of Dante because they felt like Ruben Langdon was young Dante, but we want old Dante. They wanted old Dante, so they had the actor for Virgil come in to audition for Dante because they wanted like a 30-something-year-old Dante, and even though his actual actor was literally treading on 30, they were like, no, we need Dan Southworth. And it just turned out that he had cemented himself too much in the role of Virgil that they couldn't like hear him as anyone but Virgil. And so the same thing applied for Ruben, thankfully, because that man is one hell of a performer.
Yeah, you can tell in this game especially, he's just selling
Like
it.
he is
seems like
having
he's
the time of his life recording Dante.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
You know, as a quick side note about the voices, much as Virgil's voice initially threw me off because I never got that far in 3. Like, I played the OG version of 3, you know, the whole hard mode, normal mode stuff. Yeah, so 12-year-old me was not having it.
You gotta get around to that. 3 is like really good.
Yes,
You should get the special edition of 3.
The special edition, yes.
That's the one I
port
played
that just
actually
came
for
out
the
is
because
actually
it was in the remake or the re-release.
Yes, I'm gonna get the HD collection on PC. Anyway, that aside, this was the first time I heard Virgil's voice, and I already mentioned my bit about how I thought it was, interesting and different and all that. But what I really like is that he's not the stereotypical villain voice. Like, and granted, part of it was because he has a cold and such, but even without that, he just doesn't have, like, the typical really growly, low voice or whatever. He's like, no, he just sounds like a dude.
He's like a British gentleman, essentially. Brother. He's like the Japanese version of a British gent, essentially.
And I mention that because I've heard some people, I saw some reviews where they were criticizing the voice or whatever, and it's like, it's different, but I like that it's different. Like, I listen to it and I'm like, that's Virgil. That's not just some villain.
We already had the stereotypical villain. We have the stereotypical villain in DMC3.
Mm-hmm.
Virgil is the contrast to that. He's not your average, like, villain.
Yeah, I was like, and those traits are there. Like, Urizen is half of Virgil. Like, that villainous desire for power over everything is still in there.
Yeah.
But it's tempered by, like, William Blake poetry.
Yeah.
Which, like, when he's a full person and, like, he's accepting of Nero, which, by the way, that final battle, I might actually just quit this so I can do the final battle, because that's a really good scene.
The final battle is so good.
It's wonderful.
My favorite dialogue comes from that battle where Nero goes, "Are you accepting me now?" And he goes, of your strength or the fact that you're my son." And he goes, "Both, you fucking asshole." Like, that's one of my favorite section, like my favorite parts of the of that fight is just that one small dialogue between father and son. Yeah. Because, like, Nero has the right to be as angry as he is throughout this entire game, because everyone is essentially hiding from the fact that Virgil's his father, and before that, he's pissed that he lost his arm.
Yeah.
I'd be pretty pissed if I lost my arm, too.
That's fair. But
That's fair.
So someone just chopped it off with a katana and walked away.
Which, by the way, I hate Nero's EX color. I absolutely hate it. I think it's
Yeah.
ugly.
I'm gonna be honest, I don't care for any of the EX colors, but I think that's more to do with I just think the original designs are just that good.
Yeah.
I do kind of miss Nero's DMC4 outfit. I do recognize that they probably wanted to make him look more distinct from Dante at this
Yeah.
point.
they wanted to
than
make
just
it
the
look
inverse.
more like Virgil.
He looks a lot like
Yeah.
DMC Dante in a way.
Oh no.
The more I think about it, like
Could be
I
worse,
know
could be DMC2 Dante.
I mean, Nero does reference that Dante in a lot of ways. Like even when he does his double trigger here, he pulls out the middle finger and goes "fuck you"
yeah.
as he does it.
I
like
mean, the thing is, like with Nero's double trigger in this, it feels like there's appropriate build up
Yeah.
and like there's actual like narrative reason for Nero to be so pissed off that he drops the F-bomb.
yeah,
In DMC Devil May Cry, they just dropped the F-bomb because it's cool and edgy.
yeah. That
Yeah.
that is true. There is that like that there is that huge buildup of Nero. Like he spent this entire game just like playing second fiddle to these characters, and like he just all he wants to do is save the day at the end of the day.
My favorite little bit of payoff that was building up for the entire game is that in the first mission, after you lose,
Yeah.
Dante's just like, V, stop! This was a bad move! Get Nero out of here! You're just dead weight!
Yeah.
And then, in the final fucking mission, Nero punches Dante aside and goes, shut up, dead weight!
Yeah.
And I remember,
it's
I
really
also
interesting
love Ruben
like,
Langman. That
he
bitch
actually
slap
carries that
nearly
grudge
killed
throughout the
me.
whole game. Yeah.
Yeah.
And even like the gag or the reference to it aside, I actually do like it in a more serious note, just because the idea that like Nero holds that grudge. Like the worst insult you can throw at him is
that
to
he's
tell him
useless.
he's useless. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting because it's not unlike Virgil, or you could argue maybe it's Virgil and Dante. It's not angry at uselessness born out of a desire for power for its own sake.
He just
It's,
wants
he
to-
doesn't like being useless because he likes to protect people,
Yeah.
like his girlfriend Kyrie, like Nico, and in this case, like Dante and Virgil.
Also,
Nero
I love
is
this
like-
scene where
Yeah,
where
absolutely.
the not the double
Yeah,
breaker arm,
the-
it's actually just the human arm that comes out.
Gets his arm back.
The thing I really like about Nero is that essentially he is like the true
Apotheosis.
no, he's the true like upholder of Sparta's will.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like Sparta's want to protect humanity.
Great job, by the
Nero. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is foreshadowed in the game's
Yeah.
logo. But yeah, Nero is the one to actually like do what Sparta wanted, whereas Dante's like a kind of fucked up, lazy asshole, and Virgil is just like mad for his quest with power. Nero is like the embodiment of their father, like their father's
he
wishes.
ends up ultimately being the one that that reconciles both of them,
Yeah.
both
Yeah.
literally and in the metaphorical
Yeah.
sense.
He keeps his power, he builds it up, but he only does it for the sake of helping people. He is both good parts of both brothers,
Yeah.
which makes Nero like in an amazing sense, because 4 arguably tried to do this a bit, this sort of passing of the torch
Yeah.
from Dante to Nero, and I feel like this game does that better
Yeah,
like by the end of
absolutely.
this game, I'm like, dude, I would be bummed if there was a game without Dante, but I could totally see them fronting.
I mean,
Nero
could
as,
carry
like,
his
the
own game
guy
at this
for the
point.
next game.
Like he has the mechanics
Yeah.
to back it up.
He was very much Dante's alt
Yeah.
in 4
Yeah.
in a lot of bad ways. In this one, I feel like he is his own character.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll ever see a DMC game without Dante, but I think come the time for the next one, we'll finally have the one where Nero takes front and center stage for real.
I think it'll be Nero's game with Dante as the side character.
Yeah, I
as
think
the
you
way
could.
it was
I think
before.
that you might actually be able to go to the start with Dante and then like build up to Nero being the protagonist in the finale. Like the reverse of what we're doing in this game, where
Like narratively, that's what this game is doing.
yeah,
Yeah, it's setting him up.
yeah.
And
Like,
they did a
even
good job
though
with it.
It plays that narrative out of order. That's what this
Yeah.
game is.
Also,
doing.
it bookends it where you start and end as Nero to kind of show that he is the actual protagonist of this video game.
yeah, and that's really cool.
And it's been great because I was really, as much as I liked 4, I was also kind of worried. People have talked
Yeah.
about this to death as well, that like Nero was just kind of like budget Dante, especially in personality as well. It was just kind of like, yeah, he's also snarky with demons, but like the cool thing, and I wonder if this was sort of a liberating thing for the devs, is that the more that Nero exists between the end of 4 and now 5 and such, the more that they can make Dante the sort of kooky grandpa character now, because now Nero can take the hot-headed DMC1 approach.
I also want to point
the
out that
hot-headed quest for power and strength and protect people, and now Dante can just like, not in a bad way at all, but he could basically be a gag character.
But I want to point out,
Dante
because
can make all
it just
the
happened in the game, like every bit of dialogue in this final fight is golden. But there's the very first thing where Virgil goes, "This has nothing to do with you," and Nero goes, "This has everything to do with me."
Yeah. It's a really good example of like, if you're designing something, I think of it more from like a film perspective, obviously, but games obviously have this too, where even stuff that seems like filler content, in this case just dialogue during a fight, doesn't mean you can't make dialogue that isn't extremely important and relevant. Because they could have gotten away with them just saying, you know, fuck you, you can't defeat me, I'm more stronger than you, and I wouldn't have thought anything of it. But the fact that they actually wrote, like, not critical dialogue, but stuff that if you read it and listen to it, you're like, oh, this is like,
to the scene.
they're actually having a conversation that is relevant to why they're fighting.
Fleomorpho. It's confirmed in a novel that Virgil literally just like hired a prostitute.
Great. This novelization's really making me love this series.
So somebody didn't have to willingly fuck Virgil, but they had to willingly give birth to his child. Which makes sense considering he had him in Fortuna City, which is a city that worships Sparta. So this prostitute would be like, I've been impregnated with a son of Sparta.
The son of Sparta.
I am absolutely gonna give birth to this child.
God, it all makes sense.
But yeah, the thing I really like is that Dante's like character arc was pretty much done by the end of DMC 1. And he's just been like this guy who's been around for a while. Like DMC 3 is like perfect because it's a prequel, and that's the exact kind of story you can tell with a character who pretty much like exhausted their purpose in DMC 1, and it shows like how Dante like became more confident and more like self-assured with his goals for wiping out demons and helping humankind. And that's great. Like he has a full character arc in that game. He's a great character. And then DMC 1 shows him like beating the enemy that caused his family to fall apart. What DMC 5 does is it shows that new side of Dante where he's genuinely just like really tired and just wants all this to end.
He has nothing left to do at this point in his life. Yeah, he's done.
He has
That's why I keep calling him Grandpa. He's just old, man. He's done it.
He's continuing the never-ending fight with Virgil just because, and the final bit of narrative closure for Dante that still hasn't been resolved is his want to be a family with Virgil again. Yeah, and it's finally like.
Which I mean, that's essentially what happens at the end in a way, because like the brothers only like the thing that's cool about Dante and Virgil, they only seem to get along when they're fighting.
They finally like reconcile their differences because hey, we've got Nero, and we're gonna leave this world with him because we believe that he is strong enough to carry out the will of Sparta now. He is a son of Sparta.
Yeah. Like this line that you're about to see. It's because you're here that we can go.
Yeah. It is more or less passing a metaphorical torch to Nero, as I mentioned before.
Yeah.
They're ostensibly making him the devil hunter.
Yeah. And they tried that in 4, but you're right. It definitely sticks a lot harder in this game than it did in 4.
5 feels a lot to me, thinking over it and discussing it now, like they basically looked at 4 and said, we're going to try to do that again, but better. Because 4 tried, but both because of gameplay restrictions, we're having to like replay Dante in the second half, and the story just being kind of a mess, and they had to introduce and give Nero this whole arc in one game. Like 5 felt a lot like, okay, let's try this again, this whole like passing of the torch thing, and now people already know who Nero is and a bit of his backstory, so we can work off that. Also,
and we already know who Kyrie is. We already know what his general mood, like what his general shtick is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't
And
have to
bringing-
establish anymore because it's already been established.
And bringing Virgil back was a really great way to give him catalyst
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
do something that mattered in the story, which was to stop the.
While also giving like fan service because people want to
Yes.
see Virgil.
Yeah, I mean, I want to see Virgil. He's cool.
But they
But
they,
like
they don't
about
do it
Virgil-
they don't do it like because it's fan service. They put him in a way that makes sense in the story they're trying to tell.
He serves an incredibly important function in the story.
So with V, we talked about this earlier, but V has realized the error of his actions with being Virgil's human half, and when he finally rejoins, there's like a side of Virgil's humanity that is like shown when he's interacting. There's like a subtle sense of like longing and regret in Dan Southwood's performance. And finally, he decides that he's gonna repent, and he wants to go alone to sever the Qyphon. And
But he can't admit it because he still has a safe face.
no, he literally says, "I'm gonna go alone. It only needs to be me."
No, but he
Dante-
uses this kind of like, I have to do this because otherwise it'll interfere with our battle. Like, and it's
Yeah,
clearly an
that's
excuse.
true.
It's clearly
Yeah.
a superficial
Yes.
excuse to do what he actually
That's-
wants to do.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
But Dante goes with him because he sees that Virgil has finally like realized the error of his ways, and he's hoping that they can be a family again.
Yeah.
And hey, the post-credits scene kind of reveals, hey, it's possible now.
And Nova in the chat asked a question. Is
Oh, yeah,
Nico the daughter of
Nico-
the guy with the stutter in DMZ4?
Nico
The answer is yes.
the daughter of Agnes. It's confirmed in the prequel novel, Devil May Cry 5 Before the Nightmare, and it's pretty much heavily implied in the opening cutscene after the prologue.
She hates him. For record, she
Yeah.
can't stand
Yeah.
her father, and that is her father. She just can't stand him.
Agnes walked out on Nico and her mother when they were very young, which is why Nico like considers herself the granddaughter of
the gunsmith that
Mel
invented
Goldstein.
Ebony and Ivory.
Yes, the gunsmith that invented Ebony and Ivory and was in the first novel.
God, that first novel.
I also love that every game
The first novel.
they mention trying in some way just so they can have a tie-in for the title.
Every time. They will find a way to put it in the script every time.
Like in 3 they did it very well.
In 3 they did it really well.
Yeah.
In 1 it was incredibly silly.
It was so funny.
Yeah,
in
it was
one.
really
They-
I love it in one. It's so cheesy.
They changed the sign to Devil Never Cry.
But they retcon that because it doesn't make
They-
sense for him to do
they-
that in
they-
3.
Yeah, they retcon it because it's dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they dropped the Devil's Never Cry line
Where'd you learn to drive?
In 2, but no one wants to
I-
think about 2.
I
We
think
don't
they drop
refer
a similar line in 4 at one point, but I don't remember 4's script.
I think it's something that Kiria must have said to Nero to cheer him up. It's like at the end of the
Yeah.
game.
Yeah, because like Dante and Nero doesn't say that during their last conversation. 'cause I
No,
watched
definitely
that
not Dante.
I also
but-
love
Yeah.
this little
Kiria-
detail
Kiria-
that,
Kyrie probably did.
that Nero's new Devil Breaker arm is perfectly compatible with the Devil Breakers that Nico is given. And there's no explanation for it. It's just a thing that his arm can do. It's just
You know, there's not an
disappear.
explanation for a lot of things, Brandon.
Yeah.
Like, why can you rev a sword? But who
there
cares?
is-
It's
there
cool,
is
like-
an
Exactly.
explanation.
Like
It
it's one of those
literally
things where I
just-
don't want an explanation. Just let it happen.
It literally
Meanwhile,
just
back to its
disintegrates.
explanation.
It literally just disintegrates, like right.
Yeah.
But why? Who knows? Devil
Because
energy.
He wills it. He wills it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Devil energy.
that's actually the explanation for why Dante has limited ammo is that his magic makes the ammo as it's firing out of the gun.
Sure.
Yeah.
Why not?
Like so that's the actual explanation for why Ebony and Ivory don't need to be reloaded.
What a fascinating game.
Yeah.
What a great return to form for Devil May Cry as well. Like, I mean, I'm probably one of the biggest apologists for DMC in some areas. Like, this is the sequel that people wanted and I think people deserved.
Yeah.
Like, rather, to put it another way, this is the sequel that the DMC name deserves.
Yeah.
As much as I do like DMC Devil May Cry, like, this is the legacy the game should have.
Speaking
I was
of,
not to say that the game doesn't have any faults because it does.
Oh, sure.
Because
It's
a lot
totally
of the
got
platforming stuff is kind of bad.
Also, the weird to the real dinosaur boss fight that's like right after you play V. It's really
Yeah.
bad. That's like the only terrible mission I could. Well, not even terrible. Like bad mission I could think of. There's some that are kind of fillerish.
I also think that V's first boss fight is the best one because it actually kind of like because the rest of them are one-on-one fights and they don't really like they don't really
make
show
good
off
use
the
of, like, his
best
crowd
part
control.
of V's mechanics at all, which is the
Yeah.
fact that he has to think about the battlefield as a totality.
That's why I'm really excited for like Bloody Palace.
Yeah.
I really like V's Garyon fight actually. There's a lot of like interplay going on.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I
That's
see where you're
one
coming from
more.
with that. Like, I'm not saying the rest of the fights are bad, but I'm saying like that one is the best one because you have to actually consider multiple targets and multiple like angles the boss can come at you from. Whereas with the other ones, even the one with the horse, you do have like it's still a one-on-one fight where you know where he is because you're locked onto him at all times.
Yeah,
Sorry, I'm doing some research so I get the name of this weapon.
you're good.
Um,
Yeah, I just want to play more V. Just in general.
so the
Good gameplay
cool
style.
thing-
Yeah.
The really cool thing that they do in this game is that they show the demon forms of some of the older weapons that Dante had, the older devil arms
Like the
that
Gilgamesh,
Dante had
yeah.
that they never explained. You fight Gilgamesh, you fight Artemis, the laser gun from 3, you fight Artemis, that's Nero's second boss.
Yeah.
So all we gotta do is cut
It's
this
pretty
thing
cool.
down.
Yeah.
It feels like they're incorporating a lot of concepts that they couldn't realize before, and just like going all out and going ham
Someone to
and
keep an eye on.
getting them in there.
It feels, and it probably makes sense considering how long it's been since 4. But like it feels like a bookend and a beginning of a new era in like.
Like I
a
could
perfect
totally
way.
see
It's
them
a very
continuing the
good
game.
job.
I could see both this being the end of DMC and, as you said, being a continuation.
Yeah,
Like that
it
works.
could
It
really
works
swing
either
either
way.
way. If they came out and said like this was it, I would be like, what a banger to go out on. But if they were also like, this is the end of our Dragon Ball Z equivalent, like a new saga begins
Yeah.
with the next game, I would also be like, yep, I totally get it. Makes sense.
Yeah, because Nero is totally a strong enough character to actually make a game on his own, even without the other two characters in this game.
Oh, but man, I would love to see a mission of Dante and Virgil still in hell in the next game. Just like hanging out.
I would think they could make a full Nero game, and they could have a DLC campaign with Dante.
Yeah, probably.
Also, other,
Matt, that
like-
picture you sent me of Dante and Virgil just hanging out in lawn chairs, drinking beers and all that in hell, I'm like, man, I want that game.
Also,
Old
by
man
the way,
Dante
my other
and
person in
Virgil
this
hanging
game,
out.
I think Subhuman is a bad song.
Subhuman's fucking
It's a straight up a bad song.
I am very happy for the people who don't own the deluxe edition that you can just change it to Devil Trigger.
Yeah, I made the song in my game.
But yeah,
the DMC
during the
that has
credits,
come.
during the credits, you are forced to listen to Subhuman.
Yeah, that is a shameful thing that this game does.
There's one cool menu thing that I saw, because there's like alternate continuity, not canon situations that you can experience in the menu between missions, stuff that happens in the DMC van, and there's one with just like Dante and Virgil hanging out.
I
I
also,
sent a
I've
picture
also
of that
seen one
in the,
with,
in the chat.
yeah, I saw that one. I've also seen one that has Nero and Virgil.
Yeah, Nero and Virgil.
Yeah.
Those are really cute.
Yeah, the Nero and Virgil one's really funny because they're both just sitting next to each other on the couch and just kind of like very awkwardly like, just like don't know what to say. I don't know, man.
Yep.
It's really cute.
Yeah, they
There's
do the
so
really cute
much
things.
love put into this game. And like in general, I would definitely like to credit Capcom for
I
coming
mean,
out
this is
between
a game
this,
where it
Resident
feels
Evil
like
2, Resident Evil
everyone
7,
who
Monster Hunter
developed it had a really fun time. I feel like
Yeah.
Johnny Young Bosch, Ruben Langton, and the rest of the cast had they feel like they had fun doing those voices.
I feel like everyone involved in this game really wanted to work on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Even the composer of Subhuman.
I mean, this was also literally the director's dream project. He's like, okay, they were like,
uh-huh.
okay, yeah, what game do you want to make? I want to make DMC 5.
And it's in like
DMC 5
a more
seems like a super success. I hope that it seeds the ground for like more Devil May Cry, or at least
Yeah.
more Itsuno-headed projects, because that man is a very talented man.
Yeah. Aside from
And,
like my previous criticisms, where I think some of V's boss fights are kind of weak, and I think Subhuman's a bad song. I think the other thing I would criticize, like if I had to, is that I think a lot of the level design, not the combat, not like the enemy design, but the actual like the level layouts themselves feel kind of bland in a way. Because the ones you're doing platforming in aren't really that great, and the puzzles are kind of one note. But that's kind of par for the course to my price. I'm not necessarily, I don't really mind them, but it is something that you do have to take a note of when you talk about this game.
I think they do a perfect job, just like breaking up the action.
Yeah, yeah.
It's certainly a fucking like massive improvement from DMC4.
Yeah, that's true. And on that same token, it is fun to see Nero take one of those Nihil hatchlings, put it through a door, and go, maybe I should just cut it down. Now I'm thinking about it. Now that I'm actually done that puzzle.
Yeah. The thing I really like about I don't know why I keep segueing with that. So Devil May Cry 3 has like the best level design in the series. It's the most interesting game to go through. But Devil May Cry 5 does an admirable effort trying to be as like mythical and interesting at points, and that's pretty cool. Like even though the super basic puzzle to opening the way to Sparta's home, it's like game design 101, but it still has this like essence that makes it really like interesting, and like you're discovering some like ancient civilization. But really, it's just Dante's house.
Yeah.
I would really like it if maybe now that we've set the status quo going forward, we could actually get a game where you play as Virgil and it's not an afterthought. Like in the chat, Flail Morpho says, I kind of want a game where you just play as Virgil running around hell, and that would be pretty fun. Like an actual game you spend playing as Virgil.
Yeah.
Designed to be played as Virgil. Yeah.
I love the photo at the end. Another deadbeat dad.
Yep.
I guess the closest we've ever gotten to like a full Virtual New experience was the DMC DLC, and even that was
or the DMC
still lower
4
budget.
Special Edition, but that was again just playing through a game that was already made
that
as
and
Virgil.
3 were just you model swap.
Yeah.
It would be nice. It would be interesting, I guess, is what Matt's saying, and I would agree with, is the idea that, it would be interesting to have a campaign, even if it was shorter, that is built around specifically Virgil's abilities, like his floating swords and what the Yamato can do.
I could also
way
see
that
like a game
Nero
that
has
is
a bunch
Nero,
of
Lady, and
stuff like
Trish as like the 3 characters you play as.
I think Virgil, Trish, and Lady, at least Virgil absolutely will come to this game as an update, especially because of how well it's done. I can't imagine them not doing DLC.
If they did have any ideas before, they'll think of
I
something.
mean, they've announced that Bloody Palace is the only one they have planned, but
someone
you would be
out
a
there,
fool
when
to
this
not
game started selling millions of copies, like sat down at a table and said, "Okay, what can we do with this game?"
Like someone is writing Inu a blank check saying, "Okay, go ahead. I don't know what DLCs you want to make, but go ahead and go fucking crazy."
Knowing him, it'll be like more characters, maybe more guns, maybe more levels.
I think more characters. We might get more weapons. There was a really funny thing Hideaki Itsuno said during an interview, and he was like, "So, we brought back Cerberus because we have all these new ideas for how to make it cooler. We couldn't bring back Nevin, the electric guitar from 3, because we didn't have any ideas on how to make it cooler. Please write into us and suggest ideas on how to make it cooler." So you could literally write into Capcom saying like, "All right, here's how you make Nevin 2.0." And they might like take it.
I love their dedication to not half-ass anything. Like if they're going to do something, they're going to do it like all the way. And you feel that when you play this game. Like you feel just oodles and oodles of polish just splattered all over this place.
4 is a different story.
You can feel it in 3 too.
Yeah. This one seems like the one where they got the most time and money to work on it.
I think it feels about as well realized as 3. They both like feel like they're complete experiences, and they didn't have to like.
We're gonna double ask this, says Flail in the chat. Yeah, that sounds like that feels like what happened in this game.
Yeah. Both games feel like fully realized. They didn't have to cut corners, or at least like noticeably cut corners. Of course, all games have to cut corners when they're being made, but not as much as Devil May Cry 4 definitely did.
Yeah. Yeah, we're probably gonna wrap it up like in the next 5 or 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But
I guess final thoughts about DMC 5?
I had one. This is more related to the grander meta thing, because this is something I like to think about in terms of industry-wide stuff.
Yeah.
I mentioned it really quickly offhand before, but I'm really glad that this game is doing well, and it is really good, as is RE2, which I played a little bit of, Resident Evil 7, Monster Hunter World, because in addition to people who talked about like, oh, Capcom's getting back on their feet, that's great. It's also just great to see Japanese development coming back in a big way.
Not only that,
like, it seems like they're getting money again, and
it's
it
like
seems
there
they
was-
have so many ideas they've been building up over the years when they didn't have all that money to work with.
It's also these were genres and franchises that were thought to be lost to history forever.
Yeah, I was gonna
And-
specifically reference like character action. To
Yeah.
me, like this era of it is strictly like a Japanese thing that Americans have
Yeah.
done since. But like when I think of like stylish character action games, I think of Ninja Gaiden, I think of this. And it's so cool to see like the original
And
people come back.
People who played the game will know why I chose to end on this cutscene.
But so that was kind of my final piece. Is like it's a great game, and I'm so glad it's good. If only for I'm glad that Capcom's doing well because they're great people there, and I'm glad Capcom's doing well because that means the Japanese game industry will be looking there and be like, okay, maybe we should bring back some old studios, some old people.
I'm really hoping with Devil May Cry 5 doing well and like generally being pretty well liked, that any developers out there who are trying to pitch games that are like this big in scope, but also genuine games,
Yeah.
and not
not
like-
experiences, not live services.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like there is like microtransaction models in this game, but it's so tertiary. It's so periphery.
Yeah, it didn't need to be there. It doesn't really affect anything at all. But the thing is, I really hope like this game helps let some other developers let loose and just make a game.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
would be good to be able to point to this and be like, yeah, we want to. I mean, this and again, just Capcom stuff like RE2, which is another game that doesn't have multiplayer or like live service stuff. Like it's just, or God of War is another example of like an American-made game. It's really cool to just see, as much as I like live service games and stuff like that, it's cool to just see a game you put down, you play, and then you put it back on the shelf, and you're like, cool, I can replay it if I want to. Otherwise, I'm done. I don't have to worry about seasons. I don't have to worry about multiplayer. I don't have to worry about
There is value
microtransactions.
to having an end to the game
Yeah.
you play. There
It
is
feels like
a
a
value that the
complete
people are
experience.
like don't see that much of anymore.
I feel like we're kind of losing that, and
Yeah.
you know, it might just be a trend, maybe, but it's really cool to see this much money put into just a game.
Of course,
It's
this,
just
we're
a
also talking
video
about
game
Devil
as
May
video
Cry, and that's a game where technically it does come to an end, but it's designed so that if you come back to it, go ahead and come back to it. We're here for you. You have a chance. You have stuff to do. You can S rank things. You have hard difficulties to come back to. We're cool. We're cool.
You get a full experience,
Yeah.
but you also get like tons of value. Like even though this campaign is short by modern standards, it's like 12 hours long. You can just keep coming back on higher difficulties,
Yeah.
pushing the limits of what you can do, trying to S rank every mission, trying to style as hard as you can. There's a lot to love about this game, and there's a lot to play, and it's definitely like really, really worth like everyone's time and money.
And this would be true of 3 and 4 as well, but I think the style meter is probably one of my favorite mechanics of Devil May Cry as a whole. And the reason I say that is because it, without really like being aware of it, it makes the game so accessible to so many different people. Like if you just want to beat the game and get to the end and that's it, that's all you want to do,
Yeah.
you're covered. You can just go on either easy or
It's
even
really
regular difficulty
not
and
that
just
hard.
beat the game. And the game isn't designed for it to be very difficult just to get to the end. But if you're the kind of guy that wants to test your skills and wants like a real challenge, the style meter does that for you because it's like, okay, cool, you beat the game. Do you want to try for your best? And it does that in a way.
Difficulty.
Does in a way that doesn't punish a newbie player. Because even the lower level rankings, like I guess D for Dismal is kind of fortunate, but like it doesn't. It's a celebration of how well you're doing. It's not really much of like a degradation of what you're doing. It's not saying you're a bad player. It's saying, oh, look how cool you are. You got a B, or you got an A, or look, you got an S rating. Look how fucking cool that is.
The only one that goes against that you brought up to me the first night we played it was that D is dismal, but you can get past a D with basically doing any combo.
Yeah.
And get to cool.
One last thing before we finish off. So on the Devil May Cry subreddit, which is a cesspool of shitposts and endless shitposts, nothing else. The voice actor for the Balrog weapon took to the subreddit and asked people what kind of things they would like for an announcer pack that Balrog would do, like a modded announcer pack. So Balrog saying the announcer ratings.
Nice.
They got him to say dead weight for the D ranking.
Oh, that's a good reference. But yeah, like Flail in the chat saying she plays the game on easy because she knows she has a disorder that she can't process information at normal speeds. And this game is here for you. Like the game doesn't want to shy away from you is because you have difficulty with it. Like just play on easy and you're like, sure, we're cool, I'll find time.
Even if you need extra help, there's a built-in auto assist. Click the left stick and you've got auto assist.
Yeah. Like the game is just surprisingly accessible for the kind of genre it is. Like if you want the high speed, reacting on the fly, getting all that variety in for your ratings, it's there. But if you just want to beat the game, if you just want to have a good time, we're covered.
Yeah,
you're good.
And I think that's important because I think that dang near every game should be for everyone in terms of having some kind of dynamic difficulty or something. And this does a great job because the style system is like a subset of difficulty. You can play on easy and yet you can still work for S ranks, which might be a good middle ground between maybe I get tired when I play this game too often. Maybe I can't think hard enough to do really complex combos or such. So I can play it on easy. I don't take that much damage. It's not very hard to progress, but even on easy, I can still try to get triple S ranks.
Or even if you compare this to
Bayonetta. Or you can do the opposite and be like, I want it to be balls hard and be like, okay, I'll play it on the hardest difficulty. I don't care about the style ranks. I just want to make sure I get.
And over in the chat point out too, if you compare this to Bayonetta, where Bayonetta has a ton of very complicated button commands for the higher end combos, but all of the combos in DMC are basically just tapping in different orders. It's just tapping in different, tapping forward, tapping back, and then tapping in a certain timing.
Yeah,
it's always it's normal, back, forward, or delay.
The commands are never complex, which actually goes a lot to make even on mediocre player like me feel like a god when I'm playing.
The reason I really like Devil May Cry and I don't really take a fancy to Bayonetta too much is that Bayonetta has all these moves and all these combos so that you can just mash buttons and you never run out of things to do. And I don't feel like I'm using all of my abilities because there's just too much. But Devil May Cry, it starts you off small and then you build up to a bigger move set by purchasing moves. And by purchasing those moves, it's actively placing the idea that you can do that in your head. Because you have to figure out what you can do before you buy the move.
It puts the onus on you.
And it feels like by the end of a Devil May Cry game, you've got this giant arsenal of moves and weapons at your disposal, and you know exactly what to do with every single one of them.
Here's the cool thing too, is that in this game, if you buy a move and you say later, I didn't really want to use this move ever again, you just turn it off. You just turn off the move, and you don't have to use that move ever again.
And a thing that this game is doing to move it away, Nova in the chat is saying, Platinum has their rating system based on basically how fast you go. Devil May Cry is moving away from that. It's deliberately trying to look at the mission results stylish
screen
as possible. There's no time ranking anymore.
Yeah. which lets you wander around the mission for collectibles in case and without worrying about your ranking.
Yeah, you can actually explore and look for secrets now.
And B, it really like it gives you, because what it wants you to do is wants you to make a stylish combo, and like it gives you plenty of time to do it. Like when your combo rating go down, you actually have plenty of time before it goes down to the next rank. It just and it doesn't want you to rush. It wants you to think about what you're doing. It just wants you to think in a somewhat quickly. And we're gonna wrap this up in a second because I want to give Sam a break before he has his own stream after this.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
it's so good at that. It's so good at making like what it wants you to do is it wants you to feel good. It wants you to feel like you're skilled, even if you're not necessarily.
It wants you to be smoking sassy stylish.
Yeah.
Like the game is like just giving you gentle pushes with all of its mechanics to be like you can be cool.
Yeah.
And
doesn't matter what difficulty you play on.
I even noticed this when like I was losing to Urizen in my first playthrough. Like the tooltip said, I know it says like I'm paraphrasing. It looks like Urizen has a bunch of attacks, and he does. But if you just sit there and think for a second, just look at what he's doing, you should be able to figure out how to beat him.
Yeah. Every single last thing I want to say about Devil May Cry 5 is that something that was lacking in previous games at times is that every single enemy attack in Devil May Cry 5 feels like it's perfectly telegraphed.
Yes.
Like getting hit by anything is entirely your fault.
When I've gotten hit in this game, every time I've been like, motherfucker, I can't believe I let that hit me.
Yeah. But yeah, Devil May Cry 5, fantastic game, worth your time and money. Anyone here listening that hasn't played it, go play it. What is wrong with you?
Yeah.
As someone who only plays a select few character action games, this is one of my all-time favorites.
Yeah.
It is well worth your time.
It's so campy and fun and encouraging, and it does its best to make the player feel welcome, and I love it for that. It's great at that. And once again, I am Brandon Carey. Joining me was Sam Callahan.
Yes, thank you, Brandon, for having me.
Matt, I don't know your last name.
I'm Matthew Lovenska. I'm putting out a review for Devil May Cry 5 soon, probably within the next week or two.
And he's at the ShadowLink on Twitter, and Sam is at ZeroAsher on Twitter.
Yeah,
I'm at NewDarkCloud on Twitter.
Yeah, follow me on Twitter. I'll announce when I put my review out there.
Thank you guys so much for coming. This was a lovely talk. I love talking about this game.
Thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
I like how you said beforehand. I don't think we'll go for 2 hours talking about Devil May Cry 5.
And then we end up going for almost exactly 2 hours.
Yeah. Yep.
You know.
I should have known
because
because
talking about.
You put Sam and I in the same room, we literally can't talk for hours about almost nothing, and it still feels like we had a conversation.
That's how we got through the Watch Dogs LP.
Take care, guys, and I will see you next time. And thank you, everyone in the chat, for joining us.
Yeah, thank you. Anyone who participated in chat or just was there watching.
Yeah.
Happy to talk about the game sometime if you want to on Twitters or somewhere else. You can reach us.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, if you ever play it, let us know what you think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have a good day, night, afternoon, whatever it is, guys. See ya.
Wherever you are, have a good time.
Bye, everyone.